What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with Motorola Edge 2025 tips and tricks and hidden features. So stay tuned if you want to learn how to get the most out of your device. So this is the Motorola Edge 2025. Now this is quickly becoming one of my favorite smartphones of this year because you can pick up this phone very affordably, but despite that, it's actually a very capable mid-range device. And in this video, I'm looking forward to showing you some of my favorite features about it. Now the first thing I want to show you is a quick and easy way to get to the camera app, and all you have to do is simply double press on the power button, and then it immediately pulls up the camera. Now you can do this from anywhere throughout the operating system, so that is definitely a feature that you're going to want to use. Now this feature is actually located in the gesture settings area of the device, so let me take you over to that right now, and all you have to do is just go to the main settings area, and then go down here to gestures. And then once you're there, you're going to see a bunch of different options. Now I do want to show you quite a few of these right now, and the feature I just showed you is under power key. So if you go there, you'll see that if you double press, it does indeed pull up the camera. However, by default, if you press and hold, it's going to pull up Gemini. Now you can also change that option. So if you don't want it to be Gemini, you can have it do nothing. You can also have it pull up the power menu. So if you press and hold, it'll pull up options to restart or power off the phone. Now keep in mind that if you pull down the shade, you can also go to the restart and power off menu right there. But if you do want to do it kind of the old-fashioned way by going to that button, you do have that option as well. And then the other option is Moto AI. So I'll press and hold and try that out right now. And you can see it actually pulls up Motorola's AI assistant, which I believe is powered by Perplexity. Now I am going to switch it back over to Gemini because I feel like that is the most capable option offered here on the phone, but it is really cool that you can customize that button. And you also have the option to adjust the duration that you have to hold that button down by. So by default, it is set to 0.75 seconds, but you can actually lower that to 0.25 seconds. So that's pretty nice as well. Now by default with this device, we do get the traditional Android 3-button navigation. So of course the middle button takes us home, the button on the right takes us to our recent apps, and then the button on the left takes us back. Now if you do go to the system navigation option, you can go to the settings here under 3-button navigation, and then from there you can actually switch the order of the back button and recent apps buttons. So if you prefer to have the back button on the right side, you can make that switch. Now I actually feel like for myself, since I am right-handed, this switch makes a lot more sense to me. I'm not really sure why it's set up the other way, especially since most people are right-handed, but it is at least nice that you can fully customize that. We also have circle to search enabled by default, so if you touch and hold the home button or the navigation handle, you can then activate circle to search. So let's try that right now. So I'll hold down, and then from there I can circle. And then now it's going to search up that icon because that is what I circled. And you can see it did identify it as the Moto app. But you've probably heard of circle to search before. It's certainly a very helpful feature, and I've definitely used that quite a bit, and especially when I'm on social media. Now the other option here is gesture navigation. So if we activate that, you'll see we now have one small line at the bottom of the operating system. So if you swipe up, it'll take you home. If you swipe partially up, it'll take you to your recent apps. And then swiping from the side will take you back. And then from there, you can also go to the settings and you can adjust the sensitivity of this. And if you want to, you can even hide that bar in the bottom. But if you do want to do that, you do have to disable circle to search. So I'm not really sure who would do that. Now the next option here is called sidebar. This is a very cool feature. So if you go to sidebar, this is not enabled by default. So I'll enable that right now. And you do get a little tutorial. But basically, you get this little sidebar on the side of the screen. So if you swipe over on that bar, it's going to give you this whole new module here. And with this, you can get quick access to your applications. You can also go here to access any app on the device. And in addition to that, if you tap on the settings, you can then further customize what exactly you have here. So if you want to add different tools, that's another option as well. So you can add any of these tools. You can also add various contacts. So it is definitely a nice, quick, and easy way to access various things on your phone. Now by default, when you swipe over on here and then you go to an app, it actually opens it in this pop-up screen view. So it's not a full screen app. You can go to the full screen button if you want to, but you can also move this around. You can change the size of it as well. And if you want to, you can even minimize it to this little icon. And then you can do other things on your phone and then access that application later. Now if you head back over to the settings and then go to the settings here, you can actually change to have this open up your apps in full screen. So I think a lot of people actually would prefer that. I know it is kind of cool having those pop-up apps, but at the same time, this is still a great way if you want to pull up full screen apps. So it really depends on how you want to use it, but it is nice that you can make that adjustment. Now with the Motorola Edge 2025, we're getting a very large 6.7-inch display. And because of that, you certainly cannot reach all portions of the operating system with just one hand. Now thankfully there is a cool solution here called one-handed mode, and this is also not enabled by default. So typically to use one-handed mode, you do have to have gesture-based navigation enabled, but there's also an option to enable it by adding a little button on the side. So I'll enable that, and then now if you tap on that button right there, it's going to lower down the whole display, so you can access other portions of it while using the phone with one hand. Now I am going to go back here and switch to gesture navigation. We'll go back here, we'll go back to one-handed mode, and you can see it's now enabled. So if you are someone who's going to be using one-handed mode quite a bit, you might want to end up switching permanently to gesture-based navigation. But now by swiping down on that line, we have the one-handed mode enabled. And then if you want to get out of that, you can do that as well. There's even the option to switch here to show notifications. So if you do swipe down after doing that, it then pulls down the notification shade, and then swiping down again pulls that shade down even further. Now the next option here is called swipe to split. This is a very cool one as well, and it's not enabled by default, so we'll enable that. And basically if you swipe over and then swipe back, it'll put things into split screen mode. So I'm now in the calculator app as an example. I'm gonna swipe over and back, and then now you can see that app is moved up, and then from there I can pick the secondary application. So I'm gonna pick my calendar, and then now we have a 50-50 split between those two apps. I can then adjust if I want one app to take over more than the other. So it's definitely very intuitive, and I love how smoothly the animations are and everything here. So that's definitely a very well-designed feature. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to take a screenshot with the Motorola Edge 2025. And there are several methods I want to show you here for how to take a screenshot. So the first way to take a screenshot with the phone is to simply hold the volume down and power button for about a second, and then like that, it now takes the screenshot. Then you have options to share it, edit it, or delete it. The second way to take a screenshot is to simply take 3 fingers and then put them on the display, and that's called 3-finger screenshot, and as you can see, the screenshot has been taken. And then another way to take a screenshot is to go to your recent apps, and then you pick which app you want to screenshot, and then you'll see the button right there to screenshot it. So I was able to take a screenshot of that entire app, but that's how to take a screenshot with the Motorola Edge 2025. Now with the Motorola Edge series of phones, we've always had this button on the side, and over the years, the purpose of this button has changed. Now the button is currently called the AI key, and if we go to the settings for that, there's 2 different ways you can use it. So you can press and hold, or you can double press. Now if you press and hold, you don't have too many options here, but basically you can have it do nothing, or you can have it pull up Moto AI. So I already showed you Moto AI a little bit, but let's try it again right now. So I'll press and hold. And then now it's going to pull up Moto AI. And then from there, you can type questions or you can ask questions as well. So let me ask it a question. What concerts are going to be in Phoenix, Arizona this weekend? And it's thinking. And it is using Perplexity. So that's not really an AI I use that often personally. But you can see it did come up with different concerts.
Here's a rundown of concerts and music events happening in Phoenix, Arizona this upcoming weekend, September 26th
cool.
through 28th.
Well, I don't need to hear the whole thing read to me because I can literally read it myself. But you can see it did pull up a lot of concerts happening this weekend, at least in my local area. So that's really cool. And then the other option here is double press. So we'll double press and try that. Now, a glitch I kind of noticed, if it is a glitch, is that it pulls up the camera sometimes. So I'm not really sure why that is, but it's supposed to pull up the AI. So let's try that one more time. We'll go from the home screen. Yeah, and it pulls up the camera and it pulls up the AI at the same time. So I'm not sure what's up with that. Now, I haven't done a lot with this phone lately to give me a full catch up, but basically it will use the AI here to catch you up with your various notifications and other things happening on your phone. And then I just switched it over to pay attention. So we'll try that. So again, it pulls up the camera app. I'm not sure what's going on with this, why that is, because I have the other button set to pull up the camera app when I double press. But we do get this other option here for pay attention, and basically what this does is that it'll record your meetings, and then in the Notes app, it'll give you a summary of that meeting along with an audio bite from the meeting. So it could be a phone call, it could really be anything. So if you've used like Plod, for example, it's kind of similar to that. I feel like it's more of a bare bones version of that, but you can basically do that here. Now, I'm not sure why it also pulled up the camera app, but this does appear to be some sort of glitch because clearly I don't want the camera, I want this feature. Now we also have some other options here, so quick launch. So if I go there, you can actually double tap on the top third back of your phone to trigger a custom action. So you can go to the settings here and pick what you want it to do. So by default, it does activate Moto AI. So they're definitely making a big deal about this Moto AI, that's for sure. Let's do a different option. Let's do open app. So I'll pick the calculator. So now, if I double tap, it pulls up the calculator. We also have quick capture, so twist your wrist quickly to open up the camera. That is on by default. And there you go, it works very well. You can also go to the settings for this. So right now twisting opens the rear camera, but you can have it set to twisting opens the selfie camera. And then for auto, twisting portrait opens the selfie camera, and in landscape it opens the rear camera. Let's try that. Okay, front facing camera, we'll twist in landscape. And now it pulls up the rear camera. We also have fast flashlight, so turn the flashlight on and off with 2 chopping motions. There we go, it's on, and now it's off. And there's a few more options here, pick up to silence. So basically this is not enabled by default, so you can enable that. But when you pick up your phone, it will immediately silence the phone because it assumes that if you have the phone in your hand, you probably know what the phone is actually doing. So you don't necessarily need to be alerted of anything because you can literally see what's going on your phone's display. And then the other one here is flip for DND. That's also not enabled by default. So with that enabled, if you have a phone call coming in and you want to put your phone on Do Not Disturb, just put your phone down face flat. Now by default with the Motorola Edge 2025, we don't get a battery percentage in the upper right corner. There is an icon there, and it does give us some indication on the level of battery left in the phone, but we don't get the exact percentage. Now if you do pull down the shade here, you get the percentage, but I want to show you how to get the battery percentage there at all times. So pull down the shade again, go to the gear icon for the settings, go to search, type in battery, and you'll see right there battery percentage, go there, and then you can see right there, you can enable battery percentage. Now with that enabled, you'll see the battery percentage in the corner at all times, no matter where you are throughout the operating system. Now heading back to this area of the settings, there's a lot of other options related to the battery. So for example, there's battery saver mode. So if you enable this, it'll then cut out a lot of various background tasks, but in exchange for that, the phone will have much longer battery life. And there's even an option here called maximum battery saver. So enabling that will take things even further, and especially if you're in a situation where you know you can't charge your phone anytime soon, or if you know you're just gonna have a long day away from the charger, then battery saver can definitely come in handy. Now we can also head over to schedule and reminders, and over here there's even more options. So there's reduce battery drain when inactive. You can also set a default battery level. So once that's enabled, basically battery saver will turn on by default once the phone does reach a certain percentage. So you can have it be set to 50%. So if the phone's at 50%, battery saver will be enabled. You can have it all the way down to 10%. So it really depends on what you prefer there. And then also enabled here is that battery saver will turn off automatically once the phone is back up to 90%. And then if you go to the settings here for maximum battery saver, you can even have the phone turn off 5G if you do want to save as much battery as possible, because 5G does use a bit more battery compared to 4G. And also under essential apps, you can pick which apps are actually important to you. Now there's some other useful options here. So charge boost is one of them. So if you enable charge boost, your phone will optimize charging safely by boosting charging speed. And this process might heat up your device, but keep in mind this phone is compatible with up to 68 watt fast charging. So by enabling this, it really will make the most of that feature while also making sure that your battery stays safe. Now heading back, you can see here that there's also overcharge protection. So if that's enabled, then basically your phone will only recharge up to 80%, and then once a week, your battery will charge to 100% to keep it calibrated. So while it does seem a little bit pointless to only charge your phone to 80%, in exchange for that, your battery will actually hold a charge for a much longer duration of time. So just like any smartphone out there, this phone's battery will degrade as time goes on, so it just won't work as well. So if you do some different things like this, then at least you'll kind of prolong the health of your battery. Now, one of my favorite things about the Motorola Edge 2025 is how much you can customize this phone. So if you hold down on the wallpaper, you can change the theme of the device. So there's a bunch of different themes here to choose from. You can also change the font as well. And of course, you can change the wallpapers. So if you go to wallpaper, there's even an image studio where you can create wallpapers using AI. So it will use Moto AI, and you can create images. You can create different styles as well. So you can pick a photo to start with, and then from there, it will create a certain style. Now, another recommendation that I think you should try out is actually using Gemini to create your phone's wallpaper. I did recently create this image, which is the current wallpaper on the phone. But let's try another one right now. Create a phone wallpaper of a palm tree on the beach. And we'll let that generate. And I'll show you some of the other customizations with wallpapers once that's generated. So this is really what I've been doing a lot lately to create wallpapers, so that looks pretty nice. We will download that, and then now I'm going to hold down on the wallpaper. I'm going to go to Wallpapers. I'm going to pick my photos. I'm going to go to Pictures. I'm going to choose that picture that we just generated there. And then from there you can crop this further. So I'll zoom in slightly. So there's options like various animations, so zoom, sway, ripple, even a snow effect, rain, and even an AI zoom. You can go to Stylize. So you can further stylize this image. And then you can go under Others to create a blur. So if I wanted this a little bit more blurry, which I feel like shows up a little bit better, at least looks better as a wallpaper when your wallpaper is blurry, you can do that. You can make it brighter. So I'm going to set that right now for the home screen and lock screen. And then now I have this really cool palm tree wallpaper. So while it is cool that there is a built-in AI wallpaper generator, I just feel like Gemini is so capable nowadays, especially for creating images, that you may as well just use that instead. But overall, those are some of my favorite features with the Motorola Edge 2025. But I hope you enjoyed my video on tips and tricks for this phone. If you liked the video, definitely give it a thumbs up. But this is Kevin here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.